look internally and find your why. Figure out why you want to be better or why you want to take this path. Like, what is it about you that makes you interested in becoming the best version of yourself? Is it a loved one? Is it a version of self-doubt, some type of perspective about yourself that you want to change? And find a mentor, somebody that you really admire, somebody that you really want to become. And you don't have to become every element of them, but try to find somebody who excels in a area, core capacity, or in their mindset that you can emulate and get real close to that mentor. And if you're 18, 19, 20 years old, the number one thing you can do is cut out friends that don't serve you and don't align with who you want to become. Yes. Because you will become your friends. And I have so many friends in my life that have become train passengers on my road, and they've gotten off at some point. And it's not because we didn't like each other or there was a fight. It's that at some point you become different people. And so recognize who are going to be the lifers and who are just here for a moment in time. And be very good at selecting your friends. Lean into the people that you want to become like. If you see somebody excelling in school and you want to be good at school, attach at the hip. That's your new study buddy. If you see somebody going to the gym and getting really big, go train with them. Whatever time they train, go train. Be in the room with people who make you better. And that will excel everything in your life. You don't need to do anything fancy. You don't really need any money. All you gotta do is find time with the people you want to become like, spend more time there.
Zan Carver, welcome to the pod, brother.
What's up, dude?
What's up? And if you keep it a little closer to your
let's bring this in.
face so they can hear you.
Hello.
Dude, you're absolutely blowing up on social media. So I got to share. When we met for the first time, we met on Friday at the OT Men's Health Party. Mm-hmm. And you were with all the boys. There was Danny, there was Austin there, all the guys. And then I saw you, and I'm like, what's up, dude? And you introduced yourself. I'm like, have we spoken before? You're like, no, but you've probably seen me on social media. And then I thought about, I'm like, oh, you're the Wallstreet guy. What are you doing down here in Tampa?
Yeah, it's funny.
Funny experience, but you got such a unique demographic where you're on Wall Street living in New York, but the bodybuilder, and you're speaking to a lot of entrepreneur audience.
Yeah.
So it's cool. How long have you been doing social media for?
It's funny. Most people wouldn't know, but I was posting in 2018. But I was posting just fitness content. I was just posting my workouts. I was always the guy with the tripod in the gym before it was at all acceptable. I was just recording my workouts. Even when I was just a college football player, like before my senior season, I started posting. And it was just all my workouts, my training, and that was the only thing I posted. And then in 2021, I posted like my first TikTok, which was not natural to me. And my like younger cousin, Fallon, she was like, you got to start doing TikToks. And I was like, I don't dance on camera. That's not me. And that was all that was popping at that point, right? So I was super late to the TikTok game. In 2022, I got consistent with it. I was just posting me walking through New York City with an energy drink, listening to EDM music and ripping. And that was kind of like where social media started to become more of like a persistent thing that I did pretty much every week. But I started posting YouTube videos in 2020. Started dieting for what would have been my first bodybuilding show if it didn't get canceled.
Before influencers were a thing.
Yeah. Well, kind of, right? I think I was inspired by all the guys on Gymshark that like I really wanted to emulate and wanted to, aspire to have that type of physique. So regardless of the fact that I took the finance route, I was still trying to get the best out of my potential. I was always an athlete. I played football. So once I had to hang up the helmet and cleats, I put my proverbial helmet on and I just kind of kept the athletic mindset and lifestyle.
Nice. Where'd you grow up?
North Jersey, Bergen County.
North Jersey. Did you always know you wanted to be a finance guy on Wall Street?
It's funny. I went into college and I told everybody my major was football. Yeah, I didn't know what I wanted to do, and I actually had an opportunity to go long snap. If you're familiar with football, like I was going to long snap at Fordham, and they gave me like a preferred walk on spot, but they had a junior in front of me, and I was like, "Am I going to go play football to just play 5 snaps a game by my junior year?" Or do I want to get the most out of football? So I went to Salve Regina University in Newport, Rhode Island, and it was a beautiful campus. It was 70% girls. It had a 5-year MBA program. So if I need an extra year to figure it out, I could. But about halfway through, I was getting, maybe pretty opinionated about what was going on campus. And I was like watching the stock market. I had CNBC on all the time. And I realized I'm like, I need to be a finance major. I was a business administration major, then a marketing major. And then I was like, every girl with an iPhone is a marketing major.
Yeah.
How hard is it going to be to get a job? Needless to say, it was going to be hard to get a finance job coming out of a small school in Rhode Island nobody really heard of. So by the time I added the financial management major by my junior year, I wanted to be an investment banker and quickly realized how hard that would be and pretty much impossible coming from where I was at. And I had to take a different route. So I entered the finance industry kind of just on my own will. I just kind of like forced my way in. A lot of networking. But yeah, I kind of figured it out over time. I was like, I'm spending all my time on things that I'm not really that interested in, but I watch the stock market. So
Nice.
yeah.
Nice. Because people see you on social media and you're well-dressed guy in a suit on Wall Street, jacked. Were you always this person, or did you know you were always going to become this person, or is it something that you had to build?
No, I mean, I grew up a fat kid. Like I grew up overweight.
Really?
Yeah, my family moved to Hawaii for 2 years. It was like my dad's wish to want to like retire in Hawaii. And so we went there for a couple years and it didn't end up being what my parents wanted it to be. But during that 2 years, I didn't play any sports. So I kept eating like a kid does who's very active, but stopped being active. And I got pretty heavy. And by the time I came back, I was overweight and started playing football, which was almost a good thing and a bad thing because it was the best thing for me, and football fed my life so well. And it gave me some of the best relationships and a lot of the qualities that I still hold today. But I was endorsed to keep eating, because they want you to eat big to get big. And so I ended up 240 pounds when I was in high school. I was a senior in high school playing left guard. And I was pretty uncomfortable at that weight. I was pretty uncomfortable with myself and pretty vulnerable. And when I got to college, it was kind of like my dream to have a physique that I was proud of. And so for the next 4 years, as I played college football, I yo-yo dieted, I messed my body up. I really tried to figure it out by myself. And it wasn't until I found coaches, and one specifically, my friend Kyle Wilkes became my coach in 2020 and really helped me to change my whole mindset and my physique and training ideologies and understanding in nutrition. So it really happened over a long period of time.
What were a few misconceptions you had about getting in shape or nutrition?
So I always thought like you had to cut carbs out entirely, you had to cut sugars out entirely. I mean, in some of the best seasons of my life, I'm eating a Rice Krispie treat going into the gym and getting the best workouts. And that's all sugar, but it's
juicy pumps.
Right, exactly. But, when I was really starting to figure it out, I mean, I was doing like, only eggs at one meal, like 6 eggs. And then I would have like a whole sweet potato and that was my one carb for the day. I mean, that's just like ridiculous approach. So it was just stupid yo-yo dieting, cutting things out entirely, full macronutrients, high protein, but low carb fat. Basically like the worst way to treat your body and an easy way to crush your hormones.
Yeah. At what point in your life did things really start to take off where you either got in really good physical shape or started making money? Where did things start coming together for you?
So I entered the finance industry.
Talk a little bit closer.
Yeah, I got you.
Talk closer to the mic.
Well, pull it closer to me.
There we go.
Come into my grill. In 2019, I entered the finance industry and I was 175 pounds. I was making less than 50 grand a year. I was way over my head and got in the deep end. And I think that was really the best thing for me. I mean, I was struggling and putting in, 12, 14-hour days. I was still living with my parents because you couldn't afford to live in New York on less than 50 grand a year. And I basically just, I willed it. I had 5 or 6 hours a night of sleep. I was working out at 5 a.m. I was on a bus by 6:30. I was in the city by 8, and I didn't leave till 7:30, 8 o'clock at night. And I was studying for tests at night on the bus home. And that was how I lived for 6, 7 months before the pandemic. And then during the pandemic, I started dieting for a bodybuilding show that didn't happen. I put in a full prep, like 20 weeks. And then by the time it would have been the date that I would be on stage, That's when I kind of ended that whole dieting season, which I then realized that my hormones were crashed. And I went to a few doctors and had my tests checked, and I was screwed. I mean, I had a 63 total nanograms per deciliter total testosterone and 8.3 free picogram deciliter. And that's super low. And so when I went to the endo and tried to figure that out, they basically put me on TRT. And at that point, TRT was probably the only option for me. I can't say that doing something like enclomiphene wouldn't have worked, but the doctors I was working with were not thinking about things like that. And I think in a lot of ways, endocrinology needs to start to expand. I think that's why the medical clinics and the telehealth medicine companies, like I work with Elite Living, they do a lot better job of looking at hormones and optimization a lot more holistically. And I think if I was with somebody like that, I wouldn't have ended up on TRT. But needless to say, I did. And it changed me for forever, and probably in all the best ways, except for when my skin blew up because I tried my first cycle, which, everybody who gets into bodybuilding always thinks about whether they would do it or not. And when you're on TRT, it's almost like the next step and what usually happens. And it was mild. It was like 400 milligrams, which, in the grand scheme isn't the craziest approach, but I was on too long and I had a huge cystic acne breakout all over my chest, back and shoulders, my neck. If I sat in church, somebody behind me would definitely be seeing these huge welts, like right back here. They were like the size of a golf ball. It was painful. I couldn't shower. The water hitting my back was the most painful thing. Laying down in bed was awful. I had to wear a t-shirt that I knew I could throw out because I would wake up just stuck to it. It was bad.
That's crazy. That's crazy. And I looked you up before this podcast and I was doing research preparing for this. It was, and you were telling me this in my office, it was More Plates, More Dates, and then Greg D both made a video about you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Greg was dissing you.
Yeah.
In that video.
Yeah.
Tell us about that.
Yeah, it was hard, man. And I think that's why I'm so good at taking criticism now. And I don't really care what people think of me, because that summer.
Can we pull up the video?
Yeah.
Ryan, should we pull it up?
So when he posted that video, I didn't see it until I got all these texts, and all these texts start flooding into my phone. And I run upstairs and I put the TV on, and I'm sitting there with like 6 people, and we're all watching this video, and they all were aware of this video that I posted about what happened to me, which was a warning to people, telling people to like be careful about their health and to take this seriously. It's not a joke. And Greg Doucette just came at me, and it was definitely one of the hardest things to handle, because all of a sudden the comment sections flooded, just tearing me apart. And tears in my eyes, man. I've never faced that type of criticism in my entire life.
Yeah.
I've had coaches screaming in my ear hole of my helmet.
Social media is different.
It is.
But let's watch this video, and then I want to hear your thoughts on that.
So it all began for Zen training as a teenager, playing sports, trying to be more athletic, trying to get his dream physique. Wasn't happy with the amount of body fat he had, and so he went beat.
Oh. Lost the audio.
Eating weight, binging, bulk and cut, and so on. Eventually, he decided to train to do his first
training with the mask. I remember those days.
Yeah.
For 18 weeks and got into the shape of his life. And although he didn't compete, he had the shredded physique, the ab six-pack he was looking for. However, didn't have
looking
as
good
much
there.
muscle as he thought he should have.
Not bad.
Thought there must be something wrong with me. Why don't I have such massive muscles? I'm lean, but I'm not happy with how much size I have. Remember, this is a natural athlete. He could bench close to 300 pounds, squat over 400, and deadlift over 500 pounds. Certainly very respectable numbers for a man of his size.
Yet my muscular frame was not as developed as it should have been, and I couldn't understand why.
Genetics. Not everyone is born to be as massive as Chris Bumstead. It doesn't work like that. If you have amazing genetics and you train really hard, probably gonna have more muscle. Shitty genetics, train hard, not a lot of muscle. And frankly, I'm looking at his physique, and it looks far better built than the average person. Most people who go to the gym lifting weights and dying for 18 weeks are certainly not going to look as good as he does. And so it's of my opinion that social media being constantly showing pictures of guys with amazing physiques that somehow led him to think that his physique wasn't good enough.
I was understanding why my body was doing things it was doing. It was time to get checked. So I went to a doctor, and
I think we should bring back the stringer tanks.
Yeah.
In the
We
gym.
should. The spaghettis.
Oh, is it right here?
Yeah, there you go.
Touch you on the shoulder or dap you up and slap you back. Put a bar on your back, you lay on a bench. Blood is going to start soaking through your shirt, and you don't really realize how many people touch you on the shoulder or dap you up and slap your back when you don't have this. But when you do, you notice everybody. Even his friends couldn't touch him if they slapped him on the back.
That was my
tapped his
back.
Shoulders.
That's insane, bro.
Shut them. Stay with me. Don't touch me. Imagine living this life all because you felt you were a little chunky, you needed to have less fat and more muscle. It affected my mental health at the time, and it's something that's tough for me to talk about. I've spoken to a lot of people about it, and that's helped me, but it was easily one of the hardest times in my life. And so he describes it's not just the physical, but the mental health as well. Imagine how he feels mentally. He can't take his shirt off in front of anyone. He has an amazing physique, full of muscle, the leanest he's ever been, but he can't show it off. He can't show people. He has to literally cover him up with 2 layers of shirts and a sweater. And he's in pain, constant. Not just at the gym, not just when friends touch him, but even when he goes to sleep. We went to a dermatologist. I got an Accutane prescription, did blood work, and made sure I was healthy enough to do it. I obviously brought my testosterone down. And so after over 6 months of using steroids, he finally said enough is enough. He went to his dermatologist. They prescribed him Accutane.
Dang. All right.
Testosterone.
And then he said in that video that you would never compete again.
Yeah, somewhere he said like because I said I wanted to compete and that was why I was doing it.
Yeah.
Which is like, maybe a little bit off, but he said I would never compete. And then we made a video when I did compete and I won the show, using his sound bites, basically because not to take a shot at Greg, because I did meet Greg at the Arnold's and we talked about it. He remembered me, and it was more of a conversation of like, look, like it was probably the hardest thing that ever happened to me, but certainly not the worst, probably the best, because I would not be the person I am today if that didn't happen. And, remember you were at church the other day at Radiant, and the whole part about suffering and what it does to you and your ability to work through your problems and come out on the other end of it better. I think that resonates with me in so many different chapters of my life where I've had to lock in and really bite down and deal with something that I'm struggling with. And that was probably one of the most prominent chapters in my 20s that had forced me to grow. So I think, obviously it was something that was a genetic predisposition that I was going to end up like that if I had messed with my hormones. I learned from it. I can advise people on it. And now I've helped so many people work through it. I get flooded with messages from people who are trying to work in finance, but trying to fix their skin or just trying to look better. I could talk all about it. And when somebody sees my video about my acne and they see that I ended up okay, it gives faith, it gives hope. And that's all I've ever tried to do with my content, is try to give somebody hope and inspire them that they can work through their problems. And so I'm really glad it happened to me. And I love that Greg made that video because it only helped spread the message more, whether his connotation was as authentic, genuine, and well-purposed as mine was.
And there's also nothing more motivating than somebody talking crap.
Yeah.
I love when somebody says I can't do something. I love it.
My favorite.
It's like, bet.
Yeah.
Tell me I can't do it.
Yeah.
Please tell me that again. And I'm just simply going to go do it.
Exactly.
But shout out to Aaron Burke, where that was a phenomenal message on Sunday, by the way.
Yeah.
Talking about adversity. Aaron Burke, he's one of the most talented pastors I've ever seen.
Yeah. So
we've really enjoyed going to Radiant, but he was talking about exactly that, where the adversity you're going through, when we ask God to give us strength, he doesn't just give us strength. He brings us through challenging times, and he brings us through adversity that allows us to develop strength, or wisdom, or whatever it may be. And the thing is, and what Aaron Burke was saying, he said, you're going through this adversity, don't let it go to waste.
Yeah.
Don't become a victim in the fact that God is leading you through this. To your point, you're going to have the ability to lead other people through it as well, and help them and reach and impact more people. Like, think about just your personal brand, how many more people you've reached and impacted in a positive way because you went through that. It's huge. And one of my favorite quotes, Marcus Aurelius, you may have heard it, the impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way ends up becoming the way. So with you trying to compete for a bodybuilder show, you're like, dude, like I can't compete because I'm going through this acne. Well, that helped you, and that developed you, and that allowed you to get through that and become stronger through that adversity.
Yeah, exactly. It's either find a way or make one.
Yep.
And I resonate with that a lot, because a lot of my life has been being either average at what I do and trying to be the best, or being disadvantaged and finding a way to belong. And being on stage really fed that fire and allowed me to work towards something with purpose. And I translate that to so many areas of my life where even if you feel disadvantaged or you feel undertooled, you have the ability to work through anything that you have in front of you and become the version of yourself that you envision, that you dream of, and that you aspire to be.
What separates good from great?
The effort in between and the relentless
Amen.
pursuit. Because so many people have the potential, but they just quit before they get there. They get discouraged and they don't have the mental fortitude.
That's why I was on our team call before this. We had like 150 guys on the training call, and I was talking about exactly that. Where in our industry, at least, and I'm sure it's similar to you, it's anytime somebody doesn't work out, it's almost never a factor of skill set. It's always mindset, every single time.
Yeah.
And it's really easy to show up and do good and, have a successful week and make a bunch of sales or make money or close deals and do this when things are going great. But what about when things aren't going great?
Yeah.
Think about when somebody a loved one just passed away, or maybe you had a fight with your wife or your girl last night, or, maybe you're dealing with this or dealing with that, or you have this problem in your business. That the character building days, that's where entrepreneurs are defined. It's not when things are going great, it's when things are going bad. And I was just talking with Joe Basso. He lives in Jersey, same city as you. He flew in 2 days ago, and his mom, she had 2 heart attacks.
Wow.
And she almost passed away. And it's one of those things where it gives you so much perspective to realize that how blessed we both are when things are going good. And one thing Joe was sharing with me was he was talking about how the surgeon that was going to operate on his mom, he had pulled an all-nighter because he was operating all night, pulled a 24-hour shift, and he had to do another one that night. And he said, I looked up how much a surgeon's making a year, what their annual salary is. And he told me, he's like, dude, a lot of our agents are making more than this guy. And our guys, they're not having to pull 24-hour shifts. They're not getting called to the ER at 3 a.m. in the morning. They're not having to do this, and this, and this. And my wife Claudia, her dad, he builds oil rigs. He makes 10 grand a month, but he's having to work 12, 13, 14-hour days to make that kind of money.
Yeah.
And that's hard work.
Yeah.
That's hard manual labor in the heat, in the cold, up in North Dakota, Texas. He's having to go to these different places, travel, not living in ideal conditions. And it's like, I look at this and I look at us, and we both we're in a little bit different industries. We're both in financial services, but we both work really hard. But it's like, dude, we're sitting in a heated, air-conditioned office. We're talking to people all day. Even on the worst days or the days where we're the most tired, it's all about perspective. And I really believe that we have a few moments every year, every couple years, that resets the way we view the world and resets our perspective a little bit. I think for Joe, his mom having that scare and almost losing her was one of those things for Joe. For me, it was, and I'm sure you can relate with this and you can think of experiences your past year, but for me, a few months ago, we're very involved in an orphanage in Guadalajara. Shout out to Pastor Sammy. He runs 3 orphanages down there, runs a church, absolute beast. Great guy. And I talk to him every week. We're very close. And I went down there. He's trying to get me down for so long, and I should have gotten down sooner. But you know how it is when you're busy and you're traveling, different things going on. It's no excuse. But we finally were able to get down there a few months ago. And we go down there, and we're in the car driving in. We're driving in. We're stuck in Guadalajara traffic. If you think traffic in Chicago, Tampa, New York is bad, try going to Guadalajara or Mexico City. Traffic is effed there. But anyway, like, we're sitting in traffic. It's an hour and 15-minute car ride to this orphanage. And he's telling us all these stories about these kids. And he's telling us about these kids where their parents disowned them, or the physical abuse or emotional abuse, or a lot of these girls have been through sexual abuse and really sad stuff. and he's telling us all these stories. And it was our first time there. So when we show up, we don't know what to expect. And then we walk in, and these kids are just so joyful. They're just so joyful, and they're so happy to see us. They're stoked. They're absolutely loving life, and they're just the most content, happiest kids you'll ever meet. And I saw that, and it hit me like a bag of bricks. And I looked at these kids, and I said, if these kids can have this much joy, I have absolutely nothing to be ungrateful for. And it's like, even like you look in public, or like you're in an airplane, or you're in the grocery store, and you look around and everybody looks miserable. It's like, you got to have some perspective. Yeah. And the only way to get perspective is by going through a little bit of grit. Mm-hmm. The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way ends up becoming the way. And I think it's important for us to understand and realize the difference between enjoyment and joyfulness. Because there's a lot of things that I enjoy. Yeah. Like I enjoy eating a nice dinner, eating a steak dinner, eating sushi, going out with the boys. I enjoy taking vacations. I enjoy hanging out. I enjoy a lot of different things, but joyfulness and joy, like those kids in Mexico, they weren't doing what they were enjoying. They weren't doing what they were enjoying. They had joy from their heart. And that's a big difference. In like the things that give us joy, a lot of times are different than things that we enjoy. Like what gives me joy is giving back, serving other people, having meaningful conversations, pouring into people, working hard, building the business. So one thing that's helped me is understanding the difference between those two.
Yeah. Yeah. It's entirely perspective. Yep. Your gratitude will lead you in so many different ways. And most people just don't appreciate where they are. Mm-hmm. And they look so far forward, or they look around. They don't run their own race. And they start weaving because they're not looking anywhere but straight in front of them. And that's why so many people get caught doing the wrong thing and messing their life up, because they're not focused on what they're doing, what they should appreciate, what's going on with their life, and how grateful they should be. And I just said this the other day with Austin, that it really is about being where your feet are and being grateful for how much you have and not what you want, right? And I like what you say, that it's not about what you enjoy, but it's about being joyful.
Yes.
And yes. I think when I post me enjoying running through New York City like a madman and being different than the normal like 9-to-5er in New York, it's because so many people run the rat race and get caught, and they don't.
It's easy to get caught in, though.
Everybody does. And the reason why people transcend is because they can enjoy the journey. They embrace the chase. They embrace their journey of what they're trying to achieve. And when you are passionate about what you're doing every day and you persist through the struggles, you unlock that potential that everybody has, but it's whether they're being intentional and deliberate about it. And yes. So when I post about me running through New York City and loving, the business and love being in the energy of the industry, it's to inspire other people to approach their life with the same vigor and passion and enjoyment and not take themselves too seriously. I'm in a very polished industry with a lot of people who either feel they need to be a certain way or try to posture themselves in a specific way so that they look the part. And I do polish myself every day because I want to be the best version of myself. But I'm never going to live inauthentically the way I want to live. The way I want to live is happy and enjoy everything I'm doing and pour into people's cups. And that's the only way that I'm happy, is if I'm serving others, if I'm enjoying my day, if I'm doing the things that get me excited, that feel meaningful. And that's the only way to live. And if you're not feeling that way doing what you're doing every day, you're doing the wrong thing. Whether that's the job that you have or the people you're with, you have to be surrounded by things that move you, that make you want to put your feet on the floor in the morning. It's where I don't understand that, because every day I get up and I'm excited to do the things that I do. I love waking up at 4 and going to the gym at 5. The reason I do it is because I need enough time to do the other things that I love to do. It's not because I want to prove to anybody that being up at 4 is better than being up at 6. It's because that's the way my life's set up, and I enjoy it. And I'm not trying to fight my way out of it. I'm trying to lean into it. And I think most people are afraid to lean into the things they have to do every day, and they take the easy way out.
That's so good. The way I see it is blissful discontentment. where you're thankful for what you have, but you're always striving to get more.
Yeah.
And I'll be honest, I've been guilty of that, where you just get caught up in the business or making money or working 12, 13 hours a day, and you're always on gun mode, and you just think, once I get here, once I get to this point, then I'll be set. Yeah. Then I'll be happy. But it never comes. So having that daily reminder, I love what you said of just having fun throughout the day to day. Because the truth is, building a business is stressful. Building a business is tiring. You wake up at 4 a.m. every day. I don't see you at 4 a.m., but I can almost guarantee you don't jump out of bed. You might, but you don't jump out of bed ecstatic like, another day. I'm just so excited. No,
I jump out of bed to go turn the alarm off so I don't get yelled at.
Yeah, so you don't always feel like it, but one perspective and mindset switch that's really helped me was, okay, well, if I wake up really tired, I'm like, oh, I just want to sleep some more. Or like, oh, like this, like I got a lot of responsibility, or I got a lot of people, like my phone's just been ringing off the hook all day. And it's 11 p.m. and I've been on back-to-back calls nonstop. And I'm just like, dude, like if only I could chill on a beach. But then I think about, what if that was all I had to do? Yeah. Was chill on a beach? What if I had hypothetically $100 million in my bank account, I had no responsibilities, no stress, would I be happier or less happy than I am right now? And the conclusion that I've always come to is less happy.
I know way more wealthy people who don't stop working than wealthy people who hang it up. And the reason why is because they got wealthy from loving the game. And if you love the game that you're playing, you don't have to play everybody's game. You have to play your game really well. Then you never have to stop. And you can take little breaks. You can take vacations. That's not criminal. And that doesn't stifle growth. If anything, it helps you grow. But you see people in their 60s and 70s who are extremely wealthy. You see 80-year-old billionaires who continue to play their game. Because when you stop playing the game, life stops being fun. So why would you want to hang out on the beach? You only need that every once in a while. I mean, I'm a firm believer in taking vacation and taking every other month going on like a 3 or 4 day vacation and just unplugging, because you need diversity in life. And it helps you gain perspective. Just like you said, a few times a year, you're going to do something that changes your perspective, changes your mindset. I come back on my training, my diet, my job, my intentions so much harder after a 3-day vacation than if I spend 3-4 months doing the same thing and feeling like I'm starting to get jaded, right? Because at some point you do get jaded. This is where people start to like lose their luster for what they're doing every day.
Yes.
So you need to build that in. But there's no sense in stopping at some point. I think retirement is almost like a fallacy.
Yes.
There's no reason to retire. I mean, I think at some point, yeah, you should probably take a couple extra days and, travel with your wife and, spend your time living your life. You don't need to lock yourself in an office. But if you're willing to retire at 60 years old, then you never really liked what you were doing anyway. Maybe it's time for the second chapter to be something you really do actually like to do. Find your purpose. I think the reason why I love to do what I do is because it's all around people, right? Everything that I do has to do with pouring into somebody's cup, serving, finding a way to solve a problem. And that gets me excited, because if it had nothing to do with people, it was just spreadsheets and numbers, and it was all about me, that wouldn't be exciting for me. It'd be boring. It would be lonely. And I think a lot of life can become lonely if it's not about engaging, serving, and helping somebody. I love what you do. You're going to Guadalajara and you're serving people, and you're trying to find a way to pour into other people's cups because you have so much, because you can. And I think that's what financial freedom allows you to do. If you're financially free, and that's why I think the whole idea that capitalism is wrong or that it's selfish is entirely misjudged and misunderstood by people who just haven't been able to achieve it. Because the key to freedom and the key to helping people and being able to serve people and protect, right, safety and security being a main core value, is having the financial freedom to do so. You unlock that by doing things you're really, really good at, finding things you're really passionate about, creating the apex in your life to perform. That takes pressure. It's going to be hard. But when you perform and you're having fun doing something, you have passion about the thing you're performing in, you become extremely purposeful. I
Mm.
think that lives a good life.
Mm. Well said. So then the question would be, how do you reach the pinnacle of success and become the absolute best version of yourself possible without in the process losing yourself and simultaneously enjoying the journey?
Because there is no pinnacle.
That's it.
We all think about the pinnacle, the top. There's no top. It was always the journey over destination. The journey of self-improvement, of getting better, of compounding is the goal. The goal is not the end game. It's not the destination. It's not the pinnacle. It's about constant improvement. It's about looking inward, figuring out how you continue to improve and get better. Because you're never your best. You're never going to be your best. You're always going to compensate towards one way, right? I always call it rotational focus, right? There are seasons in my life that I rotate towards a specific focus. You can't have 10 things that you're amazing at. You can have 2 to 3 in one season, and you can hold that and rotate to something else later. And I think like every 3 to 6 months, you have to have that like finite goal, that focus, like where you're spending all your time and attention. And there are other things that will go on the back burner. It's just like cooking. It's what are you focused on right now? What part of the meal needs the attention? And I think at some point, like everybody needs to assess like where their focus is and whether that's where they clearly should be focusing if they want the best out of themselves or the best for their family, right? Because if you're building a business and you're constantly focused on everything that's growth and financial success, and you achieve some bit of safety and security for your family, but that you neglect them and you're constantly away from them, you're not spending time with them, well, then did you really feed your family? Because you never fed them with love, right? And I think that's where some people might go wrong. They go too far with this entrepreneurial journey, this venture, this, business mindset. I think it's entirely healthy to find that balance. I think it's entirely cool to push it and try to perform and be your best in whatever it is that you're doing, whatever endeavor that is important at that time.
Yes.
But at some point you have to rotate back.
What's your perspective on balance?
I don't think there is balance. I think if you're trying to achieve balance at all times, you're missing your potential. I think like when I was competing and I was focused on my bodybuilding show, I emulated the people that I admired within the sport by doing the things that they did to get ready for a show, right? Wake up, you do cardio, fasted. You eat your meals on time. You put in 1.5 gallons of water a day. You go train for 1.5 hours, and you try to get in bed as soon as you get home. But I also went to F1 Miami, and I went to my buddy's bachelor party, and I showed up for people on their birthdays, and I was present. And I think that's why the prep was so productive, was because I did my own version of balance, right? It's not balanced. Nobody would say somebody walking into a restaurant that somebody's paying $100 for a steak, but walking in with Tupperware with beef and rice, where everybody else would say, just order a steak and potato. And I said, no, that's not the game I'm playing. I'm bringing my food because I can control those things. So I would travel to Florida from New Jersey with about 12 pounds of meat frozen in my carry-on, and that was majority of the weight in the bag.
Yep.
And I would go to bachelor parties, and I would go to F1 Miami, and I would network, and I would show up to people's birthday dinners and whatnot with my bodybuilding prep food, because that was what my goal was. So for 19 weeks while I got ready for 2 shows, that's what I did. It doesn't look balanced to most people. But then from the bodybuilder's perspective, they would say, oh my God, that's the most balanced guy in the world. I could never do that. I could never go do cardio and train in another state while I'm getting ready for a show. I could never travel and get on a plane with Tupperware, go to somebody's dinner with Tupperware. Why would I want to do that? Same thing. The normal person who just goes to the gym and exercises would look at somebody who's doing that and say, that's insane. Why would you sign up for a 4 or 5 day trip and pay for it and go with Tupperware?
That's it.
I'm willing to do the things that are important to me in whatever season of life that I'm in.
Without sacrificing the other things.
Exactly.
It's funny. Claudia's sister, she just got out of a meal prep too.
Okay.
Her sister showed up to she got out of a prep, not a meal prep, got out of a show prep.
She used the meal prep
with
for
her
the
meal
prep.
preps. But yeah, showed up to our house with a suitcase full of meal preps.
Yeah.
Same thing. And it's so funny because people look at balance and they're so short-sighted.
Yeah.
They look at balance. Anytime anybody talks about balance, it's a day-to-day. And the truth is, you can have balance on a day-to-day. But if you want to be great and you want to go to that next level, you have to be unbalanced. You got to be a little bit of a psycho. I'm a psycho. You're a psycho. I'm crazy, dude. Like, you see me on a day-to-day basis, some people look at you and they think, oh, Jonah must. I've had family members tell me, oh, Jonah must be he must be so unhappy. He works too much. And you know what's funny? The same people that were saying that a decade ago, when I was in high school or when I was partying and doing all the degenerate things that I shouldn't be doing, were the same people saying, oh, he should be in college. He should be working more. He should. So the moment that you just simply stop caring what people think and align with your values and what am I focused on? What do I care about? And what are the what's most important to me? And focus on those things. And the truth is, you will be unbalanced in certain things through seasons. But if you simply expand the time horizon of balance, and instead of looking at balance as a day-to-day thing, look at it in terms of seasons, of months and years. So for me and Claudia, this season that we're in, we work a lot and we're very unbalanced in our social life. And we're okay with that because we're focused on our business.
Yeah.
But with that being said, what's also even more important to me is my marriage with Claudia. So making sure that those two things are aligned and that those aren't falling out. And the most successful people I've seen, they just get really, really good at saying no. Because you brought up an important point earlier that didn't get addressed, where you talk about focus. One of my, an interview asked Trump, you may have seen this interview. She asked Trump, she said, what did you do that allowed you to be successful? And Trump said, whatever I did, I was myopically focused.
Yeah.
When he was focused on real estate, he did real estate. When he was focused on media, he did media. When he was focused on being the president, he's the president. And that's it. And I think a lot of people, they try to do too many things at once. And then if you try to become good at everything, well, what ends up happening?
You're good at none of them.
Exactly.
This is where, and you said it best, that people will look at you like you're a psycho, but they would have said something entirely different about you 10 years ago. And at some point, the switch has to flip, where you stop caring what people are saying about you.
Yes.
And this is where Savage in a Suit became the mindset. It became what I built. This is why I built a community around guys who are not afraid to be themselves, who have that different switch in their head where they turn it on every day like it's game day. That they put the suit on, whatever suit that is, the proverbial suit that you wear every day, whatever it is, you're a savage in it. That means that you're willing to do whatever it takes to be the version of yourself that you dream of every single night you go to bed. And so when I do anything that I do, I think I'm a savage. I'm going to be a savage today. And I think you have to think that before you become it. Like you brought up Trump. He was the president in his head before he was the president. And he's CEO. They were the CEO before they were the CEO.
Yes.
Whenever you become successful, it's a byproduct of you already believed it before it happened.
Well said. Well said. Let me ask you a question just in terms of, let's lighten the mood a little bit.
Yeah.
I put a poll on my Instagram this morning.
Okay.
And I said, would you rather be fat and rich or fit and broke? So I'm going to ask you the same question.
I would always rather be fit and broke.
Why?
Because when you're fit, people respect how you treat yourself. And being broke might just be a byproduct of you investing elsewhere and it taking enough time for it to pan out. You could always get rich. You might not have what it takes to get in shape. And that all starts in the head. But if you have enough mental fortitude to keep your body in shape and the discipline to show up every day, you certainly have everything it takes to get rich. Just might not have had enough compounding yet. Time in the game. It's always would rather be fit and broke.
I agree.
Oh.
I agree. I would choose the same. You could argue that though, where people say it takes longer to become rich and it's harder to become rich than being in fit. Like you get a six pack in 30 days, 2 months, 60 days if you want to. But rich takes a period of time. Is if you're rich, it's easier to get in shape. because you can have the tools at your disposal.
Without a doubt. Wouldn't you rather just be in good shape all the time?
I'd rather be in good shape.
Like, I'm sorry. No amount of money you could pay me to just sit there and be fat. Like, even if I was getting ready for an acting role, how painful that would be to get out of shape if they asked you to. They say, hey, you get the role if you put on 80 pounds. Say, give it to somebody else. I don't want it.
Have you seen Christian Bale's transformation?
Yes, it's insane.
Wild.
It's
when
insane.
He went to the Dark Knight to, what was that? The Machinist?
Yeah.
The Dark Knight to the Machinist. The Dark Knight Rises to the Machinist to the Dark Knight.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, crazy.
Check his net worth. That guy's got discipline.
He does have discipline.
Yeah.
And that's not healthy though. Here's the ultimate truth though on why I would choose fit and broke is because you can't put a price tag on health. We've all heard the saying, you give somebody 1,000 wishes when they're healthy. We know they wish for this, they wish for that, whatever else. But you give somebody 1,000 wishes when they're sick and unhealthy, they simply wish to be healthy.
Yeah.
I could be a billionaire on my mega yacht, but if I have, if I have a tumor or I have just a crippling illness where I can't get out of bed, none of it matters. The only thing I would care about is just being healthy.
When you take your health for granted, you'd want the 1,000 wishes. When you realize how finite your health is and maybe it's the last days you got, you'd only really want one. That's just to have more days. I think most people take their health for granted. It's kind of like when you get a cold and you're like, oh, it used to be so good to breathe. And now I'm stuffy.
Yep.
And all I want to do is breathe well.
Yep.
It takes like getting too close to discomfort to really appreciate when you're healthy. And I started doing blood work every quarter about 1.5 years ago, like 1.5 to 2 years ago. And I use it as a way to like drive everything I do with my body. And I wear the Whoop every day. And it's crazy the metrics you can pull off of a Whoop. I know, I see.
Love my Whoop. Game changer.
One and the same. Game changer.
You guys don't have a Whoop goat or a Whoop.
Putting a Whoop on actually changes my whole mindset about how I treat my body. And it's stupid, but it's almost like when you're performing in front of the camera, right? Like, I don't want to let this thing down. So I know that if I take it off, it's like, okay, well, it's midnight. I'm up maybe a little too late. I'm not going to put it on because I don't want to see a 4-hour sleep score. But then you put the Whoop on, you're like, okay, I'm excited to get in bed by 9 because I get in bed by 9 and then I wake up at 4 or 5 and all of a sudden I get 7 or 8 hours of sleep. I got a green score and everything's great. It's like the Whoop is an accountability coach more than anything. You can talk about all the metrics and how deep you can go, your resting heart rate, your heart rate variability, but it really is just about being accountable to the fact that you want to treat your body well. I think that's why, like, people will say, oh, like, why would I pay that subscription? Like, that's a lot of money every year. I'm like, yeah, but you pay that subscription every year for the rest of your life, and you'll get extra years out of your life because you'll live better. You'll live healthier. You'll treat yourself better.
And it's also $20 a month.
Yeah. Yeah. But people look at that, right? Like, it's like in Netflix, right? It's like, okay, well, like, I'm going to, disconnect my Netflix. It's like, well, your credit card probably already covered the bill anyway. So it really doesn't matter. But most people will just, think about it. You could pay for things for your health with your HSA. Easy, right? You fund it pre-tax. All of a sudden, you're paying for all the things that keep you alive and keep you living better. But most people will say, nah, it's not worth it. Go get your blood work done. Stop buying supplements on Amazon that you don't know what they do and you don't know if they're good for you. Like, most people are just misappropriating funds in the wrong directions and then not justifying the smart way to spend money. And using something like this will keep you aligned with your goals. Paying to get blood work done will tell you exactly what you need to do. It's the simplest thing. It's not rocket science. And now we live in a state of the world where it is the easiest to get the information that you need.
Yep.
We have AI chatbots speaking in our ears. If you wear AirPods all day long, you could be talking to AI and having it like literally coach you to do I was sitting with Danny Tran. My man is doing a mentorship with Tony Robbins. It's like a 3-day like virtual thing. And so
one of our guys just did that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He got an app that has Tony Robbins speaking to him and having AI coach him with Tony Robbins' voice. So you can literally pay to have Tony Robbins, like the #1 coach on the planet, coach you through life for like $30 a month. Huh?
Insane.
Yeah, come on. What are you going to do?
There's no shortage of knowledge. There's simply lack of execution.
And it's most people's just, they don't understand how much potential they have, and they're not willing to try to find it. We're all uncapped. We put our own lid on ourselves.
Well said. I want to go back to something you said the other day where we're driving home. It's midnight. We're in the car, and we're in the car because there's 23 states got hit by a blizzard this last weekend. New York, Chicago was one of them, and this is our first winter. This is our first winter in Florida. I've lived 25 years in the Midwest. Lived through every winter, hated it. It's brutal. And I was joking about how much easier it is to wake up early and go to the gym when it's warm outside, or like our gym down here, there's way more people in the gym at 4:30, 5 a.m. than there is back home in Chicago. And you said something, you had an interesting perspective. Share what you told me in the car, because I like what you said.
I love going to the gym at 5 a.m. when it's sub 32 degrees. It's freezing cold, because I know nobody else wants to do it, and it makes me want to do it more. Because the people that I walk into the gym and see, I know they're on it. I know that they want this. I know that they do this for themselves. They're disciplined. These are people who are committed to the way they feel every day. I feel the same way. And when I know that most people are pressing snooze and rolling over and trying to snuggle up into a hot bed, I know that that's when I'm excited to get out there and go do it, because other people just aren't willing. I think that's my edge. I think everybody has to figure out where their edge is in life. I think it's a lot easier to have the edge of, I'm more willing to do this when other people are not feeling like it, than being smart or more talented or faster or stronger. It's easier to just make a mental decision that when other people don't want it, I want it bad.
Love that. All right. In conclusion, I've got some rapid fire questions for you.
Drill it.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
All right. One rule for training.
Feel it on the way down.
One rule for money.
Invest it.
One rule for relationships.
Nurture it.
Biggest myth about Wall Street.
It's easy to make money.
Biggest myth about bodybuilding.
It's easy to put on muscle.
What's the hardest part about being disciplined nobody talks about?
All the people around you that try to make it easy to not be disciplined.
Last question. What do you do that looks insane to normal people but keeps you sane?
I have so many different answers for this.
This doesn't be a quick one. Last question of the pod.
Okay. What do I do that makes me look insane, that keeps me sane? Lou, give me an answer for this. What do I do that's crazy? I know what I do.
My entire schedule.
I know what I do. No, I look nuts. Dude, I walk through New York City with my phone like this, and I talk to my phone, and people think I'm crazy by doing this, right? In New York City, when you're surrounded by a bunch of people who are working Wall Street jobs, like accounting jobs, most people are walking through the city with a briefcase and not doing this. And I'm not afraid to speak my truth and try to impact people positively through my iPhone. That's crazy to a lot of people. That fills my cup because it makes me feel like I'm having an impact that's well beyond the bare minimum. So the craziest thing that I do every single day is walk through public in New York City streets doing what most people at 7:30 in the morning in New York City, in Park Avenue, some of the biggest banks in the world, simply will frown upon. And I don't care. I don't care one bit. Because I have more pride, presence of mind, and purpose because what I'm doing is way bigger than me. And so I'll always do that. I will never stop trying to make content and trying to impact people. And I look crazy. I look crazy talking into the air. 30 degrees outside in December and I'm barehanded talking to my phone. I don't mind it.
Yeah, you were telling me about how your hand gets so cold you have to do 3 or 4 different takes.
I'm a one-take guy. Lou will tell you. I want to do it in one take and I want to walk away. because I want this to be the most authentic delivery of what I'm trying to give you. But when I was trying to film that video, my mouth would not move. I was, you know what I mean? Like I was frozen. It was that cold. It's like 17 degrees that morning. And I'm also like, I'm moving so fast in the morning. Like it's either cardio or training. Let's put the suit on, shower, shave as fast as possible, nick myself twice, you know, grab my food out of the fridge, throw it in a backpack, run out the door. No gloves, forgot a jacket. Like easily will forget what the inclement weather could be. And I'll walk outside, no umbrella, it's pouring. That is like the epitome of my mornings is like me moving so fast because there's just so much in my head. And I'm like, I need to go. I have stuff to do. Let's go.
Yep.
I'm listening to podcasts. I'm like trying to get a read on the markets, and I'm just like, and then I forget gloves, and then I'm freezing.
One thing I was thinking about, I wanted to ask you, because we're both in financial services, but we're living two different worlds.
Totally different.
And I get it to a degree, because I lived in Chicago downtown for 5 years, around a lot of corporate people, and for me and us, the rest of the guys in the office, I'm part of our group. I mean, posting on social media and marketing ourselves is normal. Like everybody's working on building their personal brand, but with what you're doing and going the corporate route and living on Wall Street, I wanted to ask you, I mean, do you get a lot of flack for posting and doing what you're doing? Because in your world, that's a little bit, like you said, abnormal.
Yeah. I think I flew under the radar for a while, and then I think people became aware who I was. And then there are people who have certain opinions about different parts of the industry, and everybody has an opinion, and nobody wants to share their name or their face, but you'll see the keyboard warriors in the comments section.
Yep.
And I do my best to walk the fine line of making sure that I'm seen and not invisible, but following the rules. And everybody knows that I always do everything by the book, but I'm never going to stop trying to build a personal brand, because I think that is my edge. That is my ability to build a business, build a career. And I think building a personal brand is the most intrinsically valuable thing you could do, because if you want to be anybody in this world, you need to build relationships. You need to become valuable to people.
Yes.
And I think that's what I've done through the route of social media. And I'm a young guy in the business, and I've been relatively successful because most guys aren't willing to do the things that I'm willing to do. And, you know, I think I've been accepted by the people around me to be who I am. And so I'm going to do that authentically, and I'm going to post on social media, and I'm going to try and change my life, change the lives of the people around me, and just be a little bit different.
You said so many good things. Building a personal brand is the best way to combat AI today's day and age. That is how you stand apart. And if you look at the past 10 years, a lot of it was the tech billionaires. Mark Zuck, Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk, and all these guys with Amazon, PayPal, and then these different platforms that they built. Over the next 10 years, my prediction is that the billionaires on the top of the Forbes list are all going to have one thing in common, and they're all going to have large personal brands. And so with that being said, the best thing you can do is by investing in yourself and by building a personal brand. And they're never going to go to, I mean, Hormozy, huge on social media. They're never going to go to Hormozy and say, "Hey, Hormozy, your personal brand's getting too big. We got to." No, we're not going to break it up.
Yeah.
So it's the only thing that you can have 100% monopoly over, and nobody can take away from you. People can try to cancel you and this and that, but for the most part, I want to ask you something about that, though, because social media is getting very interesting, especially in the past year, where the algorithm favors the extreme. And in order to get a lot of clicks and views, you got to be a little bit controversial. I'll give you an example, like Hormozy. Hormozy's thing is F happiness, work harder. F happiness. Andrew Tate is, I don't know, Andrew Tate's got like 100 things, but like, females can't drive, and he's always posting these different things, and his biggest thing is we're living in a matrix, we're living in a system. So for you, because I haven't seen all your social media, I've probably seen about 10% of it and what you post. Have you ever posted anything that's like gotten a bunch of views and clicks and it's controversial, but it's gotten you some flack being in the corporate world?
Have I ever been controversial?
Yes.
My whole
Or what's the biggest controversial thing that you've posted that's
Wow.
gotten flack? Like, have you ever posted something like political or anything that just like
What's that
went
trend?
wild?
My wall of shame. I've posted things that I knew were going to piss people off.
Yeah.
Like I posted a video about how nicotine was harming people's workouts, and that was to promote Ultra pouches. Why? Because a lot of people will burn through a can in a day and then they'll burn a hole in their mouth. And I used nicotine, and I weaned back on nicotine by using this because nicotine is not good for your workouts. It's not good for your mouth. Like using pouches at some point is not going to be the best thing for you, right? And anything that's not done in moderation is going to become a bad thing. And it's not that I'm against nicotine, because I think nicotine has shown scientifically to help with focus, right? There's a benefit, but people take it to extreme. So what did I do? I took it to an extreme. I said nicotine is killing your workouts, killing your pumps, vasoconstriction, and people got pissed off. It had over 10 million views. I took an angle, and the angle was to show people a product that gave them a way out of a vice, and people can decide whether they want to use the vice or not, or if they want to get out. And so that was one video that I made.
To be fair, I wouldn't say that's controversial though, because if I post a video saying like nicotine's bad for you or alcohol, everybody knows it's bad for you. Saying drinking's bad. I'll give you an example. So for me personally, okay. One thing I've posted that's been controversial that pissed a lot of people off, but when I said I posted a couple of rows about I hate fat people. Got a lot of flack. Mm-hmm. But I posted it and I wasn't saying, oh, I hate fat people. I'm saying, I hate fat people, but me posting that was saying, I'm saying it out of love because it's not like you were born a certain way. Like you weren't born, you became that. 200 years ago, there weren't fat people.
Right.
All right. It's not like if I went on my social media and was talking about a certain demographic of like blacks, Mexicans, or whoever, like that would be messed up. Okay. That would be racist. But you weren't born a fat, but you choose to be based on your daily habits. And if you simply eat less and work out more, you're going to do that. And I'm posting that out of love saying, I don't want to see you die. I don't want to see you live an unhealthy life and not live a productive, fruitful life. Was me posting that. But
sure, I
did that intentionally, and the way I phrased it was to piss certain people off.
Sure.
And to get attention. So my question to you is, have you ever, and you're walking, because like honestly, I can get on my social media and say whatever I want because I'm 1099 and I run my own business. But you climbing the corporate ladder, you got to be a little bit more, kind of play the game a little bit per se, if that's the best way to phrase it. So have you ever posted anything like political or anything that just ruffled some feathers?
No.
But got a bunch of views?
Look, I'm not in the game of being controversial or doing things that are political. I'm contrarian at the core, and pretty much everything I post is against the social norm.
Yeah.
And so I think that's my version of controversy.
Yeah.
Is living my life the way I do within the constructs of the finance ecosystem, the traditional finance route, being a non-target guy who doesn't ever put on a tie almost ever, who wears his hair the way he wants to. Like, most guys don't have a fade and a slick back and wear their sunglasses on the back of their head and, dress like a bodybuilder, talk like a bro. And I think that's the way that I live controversially, the way that I post. And honestly, the truth is I don't do social media to get views or likes. I do it to make impact. And I think social media strategy has to be jab, jab, hook, where you give a couple jabs and then you hook them with value, or you hook them with something that's different, right? And I think I try to post somewhat in a strategy, but I just post because whatever's on my mind is what's going to get posted. I'm trying to impact people. So whether that means it's 100,000 people or it's 10,000 people, as long as it's an engaged group of people, that's all that matters to me. So I'm not looking to find my next angle to piss people off. I'm just going to inherently piss people off over time. And whoever is stimulated that way, that's probably more of a reflection of them than it is of me.
You're just going to piss people off by being your best self.
Exactly.
Well said. I love that. All right. Last question for real, because I know you got to catch
a flight here in an hour, man.
So we got to roll. Last question. The demographic audience is a lot of young males, 19, 20, 21-year-old kids. So what would you say to the 19, 20-year-old kid that's watching this right now that wants to be successful and get started on this path of personal development and business success, but he just doesn't know where to start? What advice would you have to give that person?
Look internally and find your why. Figure out why you want to be better or why you want to take this path. Like, what is it about you that makes you interested in becoming the best version of yourself? Is it a loved one? Is it a version of self-doubt, some type of perspective about yourself that you want to change? And find a mentor, somebody that you really admire, somebody that you really want to become. And you don't have to become every element of them, but try to find somebody who excels in a area, core capacity, or in their mindset that you can emulate, and get real close to that mentor. And if you're 18, 19, 20 years old, the number one thing you can do is cut out friends that don't serve you and don't align with who you want to become. Yes. Because you will become your friends. And I have so many friends in my life that have become train passengers on my road, and they've gotten off at some point. And it's not because we didn't like each other or there was a fight. It's that at some point you become different people. And so recognize who are going to be the lifers and who are just here for a moment in time. And be very good at selecting your friends. Lean into the people that you want to become like. If you see somebody excelling in school and you want to be good at school, attach at the hip. That's your new study buddy. If you see somebody going to the gym and getting really big, go train with them. Whatever time they train, go train. Be in the room with people who make you better. And that will excel everything in your life. You don't need to do anything fancy. You don't really need any money. All you got to do is find time with the people you want to become like and spend more time there.
Find the lifers. I've never heard it phrased that way, but I like that. Well, then we could go for another 2 hours, but we don't want to make you late for your flight. So
unless you want to pay for the next one, I mean, I got time.
All right, if you miss it, I will. But this has been an enlightening conversation. So thank you for hopping on the pod.
Donna, thank you for having me. This is awesome. It was great meeting you. You've been super hospitable and super genuine, and I'm very impressed with what you guys got here. I love spending the time, bro. Anytime. I'll be back.
My brother.
Cool.
Be back soon.